So welcome everyone. This is our monthly OPA call. And for anyone who doesn't know, isn't it wonderful to celebrate our heritage? The history of OPA stands for Organic Products Associates. And that, you talk about vision, that came from 1970, 71, when Mary Loomis, who was my original mentor, and also for some of you who knew her, she had the vision to realize that the business organization from people who were growing from her business would get beyond a place where people would know the name Loomis. And so she decided to create a bigger vision name, and that was Organic Products Associates. So OPA is our extended family name. It now includes, I believe, 10 master coordinators and goes down, I don't know, Rob could clean it up, but 14 generations deep, and however many multi-millions of dollars of sales every year. And so that's what OPA is. And so those of us who have been invited to host a meeting once every month, we do this together, and we welcome any guests, but we especially welcome those people in our own extended family. So I would like to begin. Tonight we're going to talk about sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. And if you think this is only a product conversation, you're mistaken. So what I'm going to do is hope. I know we're not supposed to live in hope, but I'm going to try and hope that I can play this to start with.
Florida at a tennis academy, and what they looked at was, what is the difference between those tennis players that are top 5 in the world versus those that are top 25? Was it their diet? No. Was it their exercise? No. Was it when they started playing the game? No. Was it their coaching? No. What they actually found was this. The difference between the top 5 ranked people in the world and the others in the top 25 was their thinking. In the 10 to 15 seconds after a point had been scored in tennis, those athletes that thought positive things such as, I love this game, there's nowhere else I'd rather be, I may have not got that shot, but I'm going to get the next one, watch this. Those athletes that thought positive, it slowed down their heart rate, slowed down their breathing rate, and across the entire competition, they were conserving a lot of energy. They were feeling better about themselves. And thus, across the entire tennis match, in the end, there was a study done in Florida at a tennis academy, and what they looked at was...
So, does that bring up any thoughts from anyone? There's so much of what we do that's up here, isn't there? And so tonight's topic, we will venture into various things, but tonight's topic is really sparkling protein. And what I would like to say is the very first thing is we want to acknowledge that PV stinks. Does that make everybody happy to hear that? It's like there's not a lot of PV on selling sparkling protein. And so we're going to start with that in our thinking. And then what we're going to do is look and figure out, is there other value in this? Not just in the product, but are there other business ways that we can look at this? Can anybody relate to this? So here's what I'd like to start with. I'd like to start with, I believe that the protein product is actually, hold on, I got a piece of paper over there. Yeah. I believe that the protein, the new sparkling protein product, is one of the best prospecting tools that you can imagine. And by that, I mean, how do we start conversations with people? And so what I'd like to do is just share a few examples of the kinds of markets that I believe that sparkling protein can address, and the ways that we can actually use this to reach out to various people. So I would like to start. I can't access my notes with my list. So what I'm going to do is give you a couple of examples. Let's say, well, I'll give you an example to start with. I take a can of sparkling protein to people that I may not have even had a conversation with before. Like, for example, we went to the dentist. Now, I remember that the dentist had one of her kids was very highly into very high level athletics. And so I said, I brought something that I thought you might be interested in for your son, because he's a high level athlete. And this is, I brought the real thing. I said, this is a can of 12 ounces of protein that's clean, none of the bad stuff, no sugar, all the rest of that, that has 40 grams of protein in this little container. And I said, I have a feeling that there are times when you, as you've been training with him, know that he's not getting enough. She said, oh my gosh, give it to me. Now, this is someone I have never had a conversation with. She doesn't know anything about the background of anything, except for, I'm a patient. And so I left them with the can, and we're scheduled to go back. I said, you can take this and taste it and pass it around. And we're scheduled to go back and see them again. But the important part about this is it's a conversation opener. Now, what I'd like to do is have us think about some other examples of the kinds of people that could benefit from this. And I want you to think generically, because our objective is to use this as a way to connect with people. So let's think together about some of the specific places that this product could be used. And then I've got one special guest here that will tell just some personal stories. But let's think about some specific markets. Here are some that have already happened for me. One is a person that's in the hospital that is having some very challenging times, and you know that when they're in the hospital, they're being given something liquid that probably isn't, totally supportive. So I gave two cans of that to one of her family that was going to see her. And I said, see whether this is something that could be helpful. Because can you imagine someone who is hospitalized that by just sipping something could actually get 40 grams of protein? That's one kind of example. Rob can tell about somebody like Jarrett and how that happened. We'll talk about that in a minute. Think about people who have a very busy schedule and are probably in their car, or in our world, in their boat all day. They leave the dock or they leave the house and they're driving and busy for the day. And what happens to them for lunch? Now, there's a good chance that 100% of the time they do not have a perfect meal that they brought with them. They may be someone who tries to bring something from home, but you can be pretty darn sure that sometime during the day, if they're on the road or if they're out in the boat, they're on the road, they're pulling into somewhere for coffee, for a sandwich, for whatever it is. They need something, right? And if they're in the boat, if they didn't bring something really healthy and wonderful, they're, doing whatever. What about people who are the busy family people? Maybe it's mom who may be working during the day and then switches the clock at the time when the timing happens, and now becomes the taxi service, picking up the kids who are probably hungry, who probably need something, or on the way to sports or some activity. In the meantime, in addition to the kids, mom's probably fried. And so what if she had something that could be conveniently available for her, that would sustain her and give her good food, and a good drink, that could keep her going. Now, those are just some of the examples. And my assignment for us when we come back in a few minutes is, I want to get some input from some of you about what do you think about, because I say that sparkling protein is not just the objective, it is the introduction. Do you get that? Do you see how this can be a slightly different perspective than how much of this do I sell? So let's talk a little bit about results. And since I have Rob here, I asked him if he would share some of his results. And Rob, you can give us just a couple of minute overview of that nice background and the lighthouse and tell us those things. Rob Dixon.
Yes, I'm not out by the lighthouse. As you know, it's dark down here, but that's my screen backdrop. So, and that's part of our project down here to restore Alligator Lighthouse. That's 4 miles offshore here of Islamorada. So it's been out there for 153 years, and our group is working on trying to restore it to get it back to what it once was. So, but speaking of the sparkling protein, Carolyn told me about this a couple of months ago, and that this product was coming out, and it sounded great and everything. And I finally got to try a can or two of it, and I was really surprised at my energy level throughout the day, and the GLP-1, I guess the part of it, just I'm not focused so much on food, and I got to get something for lunch because I haven't had anything for a few hours, or making a poor decision on eating a burger or a pizza or something like that. That's when you get hangry, I guess, hungry, and you're in a hurry, and all of a sudden you're grabbing for the wrong thing here and there, and that's never good. But once I was able to get my hands on a case of this stuff and use it on an everyday basis, so I first noticed it just in the first couple of cans that it kind of brought my appetite down, my cravings down, and I would have a little bite here and there. But once I got a case of it a couple of weeks ago, I've dropped like 10 pounds without, trying. It's just, you don't have that constant craving for the foods that, sometimes you might just grab for just to feel like you have something in your stomach. So whatever's in there, I guess it's the GLP-1, it really has helped me. And it's not, I've done 10 and 12 pound, weight losses with the cleanse, the 7-day cleanse and the reset, the 5-day reset. I'm not saying don't do those, but this has really been something incredible that keeps me from wanting to grab for the wrong thing, or even focusing on, well, it's 12 o'clock, I have to have lunch. It just kind of carries me through, and I'll have, a light bite in the middle of the afternoon and maybe a little something for dinner. But I've never dropped the weight so easily in my life. It's just been, in addition to still swimming, 8 to 12 miles a week in the mornings. A lot of times, I'm burning 800 calories or so in the morning. I use my Shackley products there, my hydrate and my build afterwards. But it seems like they would get me through for a few hours, and then I'd be, that's a lot of calories to burn in an early session, and then you just got to have something. Now I grab for my sparkling protein, and I'll have that after I have the build, and it's just, I did it this morning, and I had a little small snack for lunch, and then we just had a little dinner a bit ago with some friends are here. So yeah, I'm a fan. I got to say, I don't know how many the other of you that are on the call have experience with it, or if you have it, or how much you've tried. But man, it just really has been a bit of a game changer for me. I'm excited about continuing on it, and I just ordered a few more cases just to make sure I don't want to run out. Now it's like the magic potion, so to speak. So I mean, I have nothing but good stuff to say. And like you say, most people don't get enough protein, especially with our diets these days, and doing the workouts that I do in the pool. You need even more. So I've got nothing but great things to say about it, Carolyn. And thank you for introducing me, and thank you, Shackley, for creating it. It's quite a solution to a lot of things. Like you said, there's a lot of people in a lot of different areas that can help, in addition to what it's done for me. So
You want to mention like people like Jarrett, and just as a little background, that lighthouse back there, you've heard us talk about the swim for Alligator Lighthouse. It's an 8-mile round trip swim, and there were 320 swimmers here just last month from like 30 some states and 4 countries, and was a big major event. And so there's a lot of stuff going on. Rob is the only person who's made that swim solo every single time from the very beginning. And this time he did it with his partner. And but here's the thing, mention what happened in that atmosphere, like with Jarrett and a couple of the other people that we were talking to. And this is, remember, this is not people that we're having a Shackley conversation with yet. This is having a conversation. So you want to mention that, Rob?
I mean, we had some of it when people were walking by and checking in, and or Jarrett also. He's our. She mentioned Jarrett, who's our safety coordinator. So it's a pretty big job, and he's kind of a weightlifting, kind of a in shape guy. He was a commander of the Coast Guard station for many years, and hardworking dude, but loves to work out. And he said that he was looking for some kind of protein he couldn't put down. Carolyn gave him a can of that to try. He said, "You're kidding me. This has 40 grams of protein in it. I've been putting down these shakes in the morning, and I can't even get them down. And then I don't feel like going to do what I have to do."
Those were not Shackley shakes yet.
No, not yet. But yeah, they were kind of weighing him down, and just kind of not really feeling much out of it as far as help. But he was a big fan of the sparkling protein, and he just we've got an order in for a couple of cases because he's wants to share it with his son, who's a football coach at the high school as well. So yeah, I think the athletic side of the population is going to be well benefited. But like you said, that's not all. Just as far as dropping some weight, it's certainly brought down my cravings for a lot of the junk foods, and just not crazy hungry all the time and not thinking about it all the time. So it's take one with me every morning on the way out the door. So it's great stuff. Great stuff.
Thanks, Rob. Do any of you have any questions for Rob? Because he's got to jump off now. Anybody want to raise their hand with any questions?
Guess I told him everything.
Okay. But do you get the idea that this is not just for the protein? It's not just for the product. And then we're going to address the big questions. I mean, we already talked about, yeah, there's not a lot of PV. Okay, we got to deal with that one. We'll come back to that. And then we talk about, well, how much does it cost? And, how many calories are there and all the rest of that stuff. We can address those things in a minute. But the important thing is what we get to remember, just like at the very beginning, it's in our thinking. If we are concerned about price, that's what we're communicating to people. If we are concerned about whatever else, taste or the equivalence or whatever, that's what we will communicate. Now, I'm not saying those are not issues. And obviously be thoughtful about your market. I mean, there's some people that can afford it, and that's not going to be a stopper for them. But when we think about 40 grams of protein and the equivalence, and one of the handouts that I will show you that Scott's got that we'll pull up in a minute are some equivalents. And people don't think about those things as an alternative to 40 grams of clean protein with 160 calories and, portable and so on. So we get to remember what we communicate is what people are going to be hearing and thinking. So thanks, Rob. Any other comments for Rob? All right.
Well, thank you guys thanks for having me on. First of all, Carolyn, appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening to my story. I'm sorry I can't stay, but we've got some friends, and I'm going to have to jump off. But enjoy the rest of your meeting, and go Sparkling Protein. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye.
And do you get that it's not just the product? Do you get that this is a magnificent door opening tool? So, for example, I have an appointment with Eddie tomorrow to go to the eye doctor. I've known the eye doctor forever. He's been an athlete. We've never talked business. I'm taking a Sparkling Protein. And what I'm going to take is, I meant to bring it in here. I have one champagne flute that's plastic. And I keep it in my bag. And then what I do is I take the can of the sparkling and I put it into a clear bottle with a top. So you can pour a little bit of it out. And also, if it's the one you're drinking, you don't have to take it all, because, if you open a can, you don't have a way to really stop it. So I just move it into something else. So we can take it and let them taste it and, pass it around. They can get a little glass for somebody else. And so I'm taking that tomorrow just as a gift. Hey, and here's my question to them. My question is, and you might want to write this down, because this is not about selling the protein. This is about, is there anyone in your world that this could make a difference for? For example, are there any elderly people who are maybe not adequately consuming everything that you'd like, that they're not getting enough calories? Are there any busy family people that are running around in the middle of the afternoon taking care of the kids and kind of forget themselves? Are there any people that are on the road, or perhaps are in an office all day long and don't have a chance to get out and get a good meal, that would like to have something that would be easy, clean, and comfortable for them? And I'm going to come back to you guys and say, what other markets are there like this? Because that is my presentation. This is a gift for you, but are there any people in your world that you see this could make a difference for? It's clean, it's, no sugar, it's gluten-free, it's got all the good stuff. I can give you all the science, I can tell you all the other stuff, but are there any people in your world that this might be helpful for? And then it's just a can of protein. So let me stop and see if there are comments or thoughts or questions on that. Yes, Ray.
Yeah, Kellen, I'm working with Dr. Tanya right now on some things and did a blood draw. And as it turns out, my glucose reading is a little high. And so she was saying that, you've got to be very careful when you're eating, or if you're having a glass of wine or something like that, that will turn whatever you're eating into sugar. So you got to be careful. So she said, when you eat, make sure that you do protein first, then veggies, and then carbohydrates. The carbohydrates will turn into sugar, but the protein and the veggies will dissipate a lot of the sugar. So this is what I do before to get my protein. It's the easiest way for me to just drink a half of a can of the sparkling protein before I eat. So I got my protein, then I can hit the veggies, and then I can hit whatever carbohydrates, potatoes or whatever it may be on my plate. So this is really important if you have, something that is where your glucose reading might be high. That this really is a great product to take to get some protein in you before you eat. So I try to get 140 grams a day of protein for my ideal weight, kind of thing. And so as the day goes on, if I'm getting a little bit short, I know I've got 40 grams right here that I can get in before the day is over with to get up to my 140 grams a day. So, this is a great market, I think, for people that are watching what they eat, how they eat, and can really make a difference if they have, like me, with the high glucose readings. So.
Oh, that's great, Ray. Thank you. That's another super positive thing. And remember, the questions that I ask, is there anybody in your world that's getting readings that their glucose is high, or that they have a concern about balancing their, blood sugar or glucose or whatever? Those are the kinds of things. We don't sell the product. What we do is we create the opening. Are there people in your world that this could have some value for? So great, Ray. Thank you. Other examples or questions?
I've got one comment about what you said a little bit earlier for the older people. It's not that this is going to make up a whole lot of calories for them, but older people have a hard time getting enough protein, even if they're eating a lot of things, because it's harder to assimilate. And this is a protein that's very easy to digest, very easy to assimilate, and it's an extra 40 grams of protein in very few calories. So they're not going to be getting a lot of calories. And sometimes they're eating a lot of things to get some protein, and they're getting way too many calories with that. And then they start having other problems with too many calories.
Yep,
So this solves that
absolutely.
problem in that way.
Excellent. Great observation, David. Great. Who else? Anybody else? Dean, you had some experience with something, didn't you? Would you like to share?
After my runs, I normally mix up a 40 to 50 gram drink, whether it's whey protein, life shake, energizing soy, whatever it is. I mix it up and enjoy that after my run. The problem, it's a lot of calories. So I now intersperse the sparkling protein, which, as David said, it's only 160 calories, and it's delicious and 40 grams of protein.
Excellent, excellent, Alan. And you notice that when Rob was talking, he's not exactly an inactive guy, swimming 8 to 12 miles a week. And so adding this and then also finding that he was losing weight. And I hadn't heard the 10 pounds till this afternoon. First it was 6, and then it was, I think I lost 8, and now we think I lost 10 pounds. And it isn't that he was trying and he has an equal level of fitness, but it must be the GLP-1 or whatever it is that just takes away the hunger. So anyway, who else? Any other observations for us? Yeah, Lou.
First of all, thank you for this. I listened to the different webinars about the protein and filling the gap. And that's what I've been doing. For example, I get a quiche once a week for 2 nights, and I do a double serving, and it's only 12 grams of protein. It's a vegetable and spinach quiche. So tonight I had it, and I had my sparkling protein with it. So there's my 52. I'm taking in I'm about 125 pounds, and I'm taking in maybe a gram of protein times that. So, and I'm swimming not 8 or 9 miles, but I'm swimming 30 to 40 minutes 3 or 4 times a week. So it's very important. And what's interesting is I started this after conference. I started increasing my protein, and I built up to 58 grams of protein for breakfast. I put the Life Shake, the collagen, the energizing soy protein. It comes out to 58 grams of protein. And then I have the meal bars and snack bars, so the 30. So I try to get 40 more at night for dinner. And what I have found is I can swim a lot longer than I did a year ago, and I'm a year older. And the only thing I've changed is I've increased my protein. And of course, most of it's Shaklee. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Excellent. That's great, Lou. So are we seeing that this is more than just do I go sell this extra product? Are we seeing that kind of value? For me, it is like a life-changing prospecting tool. I'll give you another quick example, and then maybe one of you want to come in, and then I got 2 things to show you. I was at an event this past weekend, and I got into the food line, really nice buffet. And I got in the food line. I was standing next to somebody, and I said hello. And I didn't really recognize her until she had a name tag on. And I looked down and I go, Katie, oh my gosh. This is the daughter of people that I've known forever. And we were talking about the fact that we had, along with her mom, my son, and me, that's probably 3 different generations, had all done taekwondo together. And this has got to be 25 years ago or more. She said she went on and got her first degree black belt. And she said, and now I'm preparing for a marathon in December. And I said, oh my gosh, that's what a great story. I said, how are you training for it? And she said, well, I'm trying a little of this or that. And I said, would it be of interest to know that we just got a brand new sparkling protein that's got 40 grams with only 12 ounces. And it's clean and it's, no sugar and all the rest of that stuff. Would that be interesting? She said, oh my gosh, call me. I've got to have some of that. Now, this is somebody I never would have had a business conversation with. But this is the kind of opening that can happen just because I can say, does it occur to you, would this be something that would be helpful? She said, oh my gosh, that would be great for my training. So what I want us to do is be thinking about who in our world out there might this be valuable for. There's one more thing I'll add, and then I want to pull up a couple of our resources. one more thing I'll add is that what I'm doing more is the people that are my regular customers, those people are getting a gift from our gifting of 1 can of sparkling in their next order. Now, with that, when you do a gift, you send them a note. And you can say, look, whenever your next order comes in, look for this. It's a gift, gives you a chance to try it. And I will send you some more information. I know that you happen to be, and gardening or raising kids or whatever it is. See how you like it and, try it out. And so what you can do is simply put that gift in everyone's order. You pay no shipping. You don't pay for the product until they actually redeem it. And you pay at your own price. And yeah, there's not much BV. But the point is that you're giving them an introduction to something. So then I'll give you one more example. And then we have a customer who I know her from the community, and one of her kids is very active in swimming, doing used to be called water ballet, but the synchronized. And so that daughter never gets enough food and started on the cocoa life shake, chocolate life shake. And so I ran into this friend, the mom, and I said, there's something new that we just gotten. That's this sparkling protein that gives 40 grams. And I said, I wonder if that would be something that might be helpful for your daughter also. She said, oh my gosh, probably everybody in my family needs it because my son is an athlete. My husband's on the boat. We're all busy. She said, I'd love to try some. So I said, okay, I'll work it out. When I bike, I go right past her house. So we worked it out. So I took the can, I took it to her, and I gave her a sip, and I took her an extra one so she could taste it. She said, oh, this tastes good. She says, I have a feeling my whole family's going to want this. And I said, well, when you do, just as a suggestion, either place your order for this. It comes 12 in a package in a case. Either place your order with the order for the protein that you're getting for your daughter, or get 2 cases. So then you get free shipping. She said, great idea. Now, do you see how the idea is not to get somebody to do something, it's a service. It's giving them that, if this is of interest and if you want some help with it, let me know. I'll help you set it up. And then, of course, the next thing is, and if you do this monthly so that you're going to continue to use it, then you'll start getting some extra freebies and bonuses and things like that. And then the next step that I intend to do as this gets started is to say, are you doing anything else for your other nutritional support? And the answer in a lot of cases is no. And that's where I'm going to suggest that they try meology and that they take the meology questionnaire and just try it and see what comes up, because each one of those leads us to another one of those many conversations with someone so that we can become the support team that helps to answer questions and provide answers for them and be the longtime loyal support for them. So that's the end of those ideas. Are there any comments or questions from this? And then I want to show you a couple of the resources that Scott has. Ray, do you have your hand up? Or
Yeah, Carolyn.
Yeah, Dean.
Yeah, I'm doing a Mammoth March next month. You can look those up online. They have them all over the country, but they're either 20 or 30-mile walks. They're not a race, but there's like an 8-hour time limit for the 20-mile and 12-hour time limit for the 30. So I'm going to be doing a 20-miler up in Tampa in the middle of November. And so I've been training for that for the past couple of months. And especially on the weekend, I do the longer walk. Like yesterday, I did a 4-hour walk. And when I do something that long, I used to make a shake or whatever after a workout, but they're heavy on your system, especially when you've been doing something for like 4 hours. This 40-gram protein is fabulous for that because after a workout, as you know, your body is craving protein to repair and everything else. And so I have a nice slow can of the protein after the long workout, and it's terrific for that. Easy on the stomach, easy to digest, and fuel for your muscles.
Excellent. Oh, that's great, Dean, and congratulations. That's a big venture. That's
Thanks.
a big venture. I'll tell you.
Congratulations, Dean. Good luck on that.
Thank you. It reminds me of the old commercial, though, the agony of defeat.
Yes. I put that sparkling protein in a shaker with ice, and then I also add the electrolyte in there, mix them.
That's a great idea. So yeah, we haven't talked about variations. Adding the electrolytes is one. There's another that there's some people that take like a flavored LaCroix or something like that has no calories, sparkling, and it can be flavored in whatever they want, and add that with the sparkling protein. The other thing that's really most power thing is to put some Vivix in it. Now, can you imagine what a healthy plus that is for someone to be getting 40 extra grams of protein and their daily Vivix? I mean, it's pretty amazing. So
put a little mango in there and have your mock mimosa. Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. So Scott, do we have a couple of those things that we could pull up screen share?
I'm trying to get them out of my email right now.
Oh.
But I can't, I'll lose the recording if I do it on my computer. So give me a second.
So do you want me to try to find them?
Well, if you've got them, you can pull them up. Hang on, let me see if I can get to it.
While you're doing that, I just want to mention your comments regarding the GLP-1.
Somebody just speak up a little because I'm not hearing you.
Somehow Scott's computer doesn't pick me up. Can you hear me now?
All right.
While you're looking for your resource there, I wanted to mention regarding you've mentioned a couple times the GLP-1 aspect. Okay. The thing to remember is this does not contain GLP-1. It is such a clean protein source, a clean product that it stimulates or enhances your body's own natural GLP-1. The whole thing with the GLP-1s that people are hearing about with the injections and things like that, those are GLP-1 mimickers. They're fake. Those are things that are chemicals that people are injecting that make the body think it's getting the reaction of GLP-1. What the sparkling protein offers is actual natural support to your own body's natural GLP-1.
Sorry, this is the wrong one. Hang on, I'm just trying. I've got it,
Yeah.
Scott, but I just got to find it.
And the benefit of that is that the GLP-1 imitations that people are injecting themselves, number one, they've got to inject themselves, but those things prevent them from eating food. So they're getting by with minimal food, which means that they're losing both fat and muscle. And they'll reduce their weight really quick, but that also makes them more prone to putting it back on and having other difficulties because they've lost that muscle mass as well. So it's harder to get the muscle back at that point. Whereas if they're doing this also has that appetite suppression thing, but you're still getting 40 grams of protein, which is really important for, and protein that's going to be usable by the systems that build muscle in the first place. So you're not going to be losing muscle using this. You're only going to be losing fat, which is great.
That's great. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, can you see this?
Yep, that's good.
Yes.
Okay. This is an invitation. You can go to your chat GPT, you can go to Perplexity, you can go wherever your chosen AI source is, and you can say, okay, where else would I get 40 grams of protein? So this, Scott will post this one. There's nothing magic about it, but sometimes people they can't compare grams of protein. So just for example, how would you get this rather than this nice little 12-ounce can? Well, you'd have 2.5 cups of lentils, 2 cups of tofu, 8 grams per cup of quinoa, which means you've got to have 5 cups of quinoa in order to get your 40 grams of protein. If it's meats, you need chicken breast. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this down. We're gonna give you this that you can use, but you can go find your own. The beefsteak, 22 ounces or 22 grams for 3 ounces. So in the time that you get to drink your 12 ounces to get 40 grams, you need 5.5 ounces of steak or 5 ounces of turkey breast, or a 6-ounce can of tuna. And then you go into other common foods, Greek yogurt, mixed bars, and so on. Hard-boiled eggs, I think, is always interesting because eggs are 6 grams each. So this would be the equivalent of about 7 eggs, 6.5 eggs, just to have that. And then these are the fast food combos. What would it take to get that 44 grams? And then in the other chart is how much would that cost and how many calories are there? So I think these are helpful to have. I would not start with them because those are not necessarily people's first questions, but they're nice to have. So you can help to explain what is the difference. Scott, can you get the other one or no?
I can add something to that before we go on to another one.
Is that going to be posted?
Sorry, Alan?
Will that be posted at OPA stuff?
Yes. Scott's got them and he'll post them. And I'll see if I can find the other one while somebody is talking.
Yeah, they're buried in my email on my phone, which I can't broadcast from. And if I pull up my email on the computer, I'm going to lose the meeting.
Okay. No, we don't
Sorry.
want to do that. We don't want to do that. So hold on.
No.
Okay.
David, you started to say something?
I did. There are some
Then you
other
should keep
hidden
saying
costs
things.
in getting your, what?
Say, then you should keep saying things.
Okay. I'll talk through you the next time. There are other hidden costs of getting all your protein from meat in the first place, because there are all kinds of other things coming along with that besides protein. Protein is a very small amount of all the other stuff in the meat, some of which is chemical contamination from different places that didn't get out in the processing of the meat. Some meat is now genetically modified besides other things. And then there's all the fats and everything else that you get with that as well. So what you want to do, meat is still good. It tastes good. And in moderation, it's fine. But you don't want to jump in and get tons of meat because that's just going to add a whole lot of other things that you don't want into your body, from fat that's going to make you way more to chemicals that might eventually kill you. You don't want to get too much of that. So the nice thing about getting this plant-based protein, even though it's coming from cows, it's only the protein part of the whey. It's not even all of the whey, which has fats in it and other kinds of things. So you're getting just this thing that's been refined, and we're getting that just as a carrier for amino acids, and we're getting a really nice dense amino acid collection from that, which helps our body build all kinds of interesting things that are helpful for our health and for our well-being.
See, those are the
So
wonderful.
just thought I'd toss that in.
Yeah, thanks, David. And those are the extra pluses that help us to understand. But my suggestion, back to the simplicity, is what is the most valuable thing to me that this can do? First of all, I think it's a great product. But secondly, I believe is an introduction to people that you would not necessarily be talking to or having an opening conversation with. And what I would do is remember, if our concern is cost, if our concern is what else are they eating, that's what we're going to start talking about. And it isn't necessarily what theirs is. So we want to keep these things in the background, but we don't need to offer them right away, as we're having that connection. Now, here's the other sheet that I think David put this one together. He may have put both of them together. Any of these things, if you go onto your AI, ChatGPT, whatever, you can ask for these kinds of profiles. But this, for example, if you're looking for other ways to get about 40 grams of protein, this combines not only the protein, but also the price. And here are some of the alternatives. If you go to Panera's or Chick-fil-A or TGI Fridays or Cracker Barrel or Denny's or Chili's or, the Waffle House, some of the common things that people might get. For example, Bob Evans, sirloin steak, beef steak is 800 calories. It's got 41 grams of protein, but it costs $14. And if you think about the convenience factor, that isn't something you're going to be eating while you're in the car. That is not something that is going to be available to you while you're commuting or busy or whatever the other examples are that we've used. So this chart will be available to you. And I suggest you go get creative also, because there may be other things like this that are common things that people look at. For example, people talk about the $8. They can go into IHOP for a chicken fajita omelet, which is a combination of eggs and chicken. It's got 660 calories with 39 grams of protein, and it costs $8, but it's 660 calories as opposed to 160 for about the same price. So, and it's also not something you're going to keep in your car while you're driving from point A to point B, or adding, there's so many convenience factors. So anyway, I hope those are helpful, and they will be available. Scott has them, and you can go create your own, go do some homework at their items that are specifically of interest for you. But is this helpful for us to see a bigger picture now? Actually, I think I have one more thing. Let me see if I can find it. Scott, did I send you the other one that we can find? There's one more thing I was going to show you. Run. Didn't print out that sheet for me. Any other comments from anybody while I'm searching? Fortunately, Scott will edit all of this nuisance stuff out. Hang on here.
I was going to point out something I've been doing with on-the-road taste tests for people at meetings that I'm going to where there are a lot of people. And when I did the first one, it was a barbecue for the Chamber of Commerce here a couple of months ago. And I was really afraid about even suggesting to anybody that they try this stuff. And I came prepared with a bunch of small paper cups that I would just kind of fill the bottom of it with sparkling protein when I got done. And I was afraid nobody was going to want it. Well, once a couple of people start taking a chance on it, and then they come back saying, wow, that's really good. Other people suddenly want to jump in. And I often will run out, even though I'm giving them like an ounce of this stuff at a time. That's only 16 people that I can serve. And sometimes I run out.
Oh, I'm having trouble. I thought.
David, are you serving it warm or cold?
No, I have it cold. Actually, it's refrigerated here. And then I have a nice little carrier that I got at a Napa Valley winery somewhere along the way. I used to go out there a lot. That would hold 2 to 4 of the small single surfing bottles for a picnic or something. And it also has a zipper compartment on the top that I can put my Ziploc bag with the cups in it. So it's something I just sling over my shoulder, but I always put in a couple of basically cold packs that you get from a healthcare place someplace in there to keep them cool while I'm going there. So yeah, they're cold when they get them.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. I can't get to this without losing what's I'm in front of. I got the same issue that I had with Scott. I think I sent, let me see if I sent this to you, just because I think it's really helpful. No, I don't think I can find it.
Yeah, what you sent me was the waiter story in that
Yes,
chart.
that's the one I want, the waiter story. Do you have the waiter story?
Again, it's buried. I can't get at it with anything. I
Can
can
you send it
broadcast
back to me?
without losing the meeting.
Can you send it back to me?
I can.
Why don't
Coming
we
back
do
to
that?
you. Reply to all.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. You don't have to be doing this, but
Gone from here.
okay,
Edge of the seat moment.
hang on.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes. What about the fizzy part? Is that an advantage to the drink?
I'll let other people answer that. I think it tastes great.
So there is an advantage to having the fizzy or the there's a word for
Well,
it.
a lot of people, that's just part of the feel of the whole thing. A lot of people feel like that's a little bit more festive or relaxing or something like that, to have a fizzy drink in the afternoon. That's why there are spritzers out there. There's just a little extra oomph to it. It doesn't really mean anything and it doesn't harm anything either. And it's very light in the first place, so it's not like somebody's going to get too much of the stuff up their nose. It's just not going to happen. Um, and I have had a couple of people who've told me, "Oh, I can't have that because I have milk allergies." And they didn't really want to hear the fact that there's no milk, anything in it. There's just a protein that is derived and washed clean from the milk, from the whey, actually. And so there's no residue left that would be anything like a milk. But it still has to say it has milk on the side because it came from whey.
Right.
That hasn't
Okay.
convinced anybody.
Well, and listen, remember when we're offering something, we're not convincing them. The right person will go, tell me when I can get it. I want it right now. And some people remember, how many times does it take to connect with people these days? At least 6 or 8 or 10 or 12. People are busy. They're hammered with all kinds of stuff. So the point is to just create an opening. So, okay, I think I have what we will close with tonight.
breakfast with prospect after prospect. And there's a young man there by the name of Joaquin, and he's servicing me. You know, he's waiting the table. He's bussing the table. Some days he's helping to make the coffee. He's just a very nice gentleman, a good guy. And of course, I'm tipping everybody. And about 4 years into this breakfast jaunt of me trying to deliver prospects for my new company, Joaquin comes over to me. He says, "Hey, Mr. Anthony." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "You manage money, right? You told me once you manage money." I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Well, we've had a personal injury situation in my family, and we've just come into $35 million." He said, "Yeah, and you know, you're such a nice guy, and you've been so nice to me. Would you be willing to manage this money for me and my family?"
Wow.
So the point of the story was, there I was prospecting, suit and tie, but the guy that's bussing the table is probably the biggest prospect over the last 4 years. Truth be told, I wasn't the right guy to manage his money because I'm in a hedge fund business and it's a specific thing. But I told Joaquin, "Listen, I'm going to introduce you to one of my closest friends at Newberger Berman, and I'm going to set you up with them. We're going to make sure you have a very balanced, safe, diversified portfolio for your family." But I tell the story to people because there I am, myopically focused on something, all smug and insecure, where the guy bussing the table has actually got a net worth bigger than my own. It's just a big lesson for people about knowing situational awareness, being nice to people. It all comes back to you, creating good karma for people. I was an uptight, insecure kid. I'm not going to BS anybody.
That's my thoughts for the value of reaching out and communicating, not knowing who people are, what one little can could make a difference, and what we all represent, what we know, how big our Shackley business is, how important these messages are for people that we're communicating with, and we have no idea who they are. So it's our job to take that little can and just use it as an opportunity to create conversations.